Today we're going to make a review of Primus Lite. What kind of cooking system is it? Should you get it or shouldn't you get it? I'm going to give my honest point of view of what's good with this stove and what's bad with this stove. And welcome to Jokkmokk. My name is Matti. I'm working as a nature guide and dog musher and make this content together with my partner Stina, and we live in Jokkmokk, far up above the Arctic Circle in northern Sweden. Primus Lite is a very small and compact small cooking system. It fits very well for one person and maybe for two persons. It's a fuel saver because it has this heat exchange system in the bottom of the pot. Actually take care of most of the heat from the burner and transmit it into the water. This stove is mostly made for people who just want to heat up hot water for this dry meal bag or for a coffee and a tea. It's not a stove made for people who have this slow cooking dinners usually. The pot itself is made for half-liter water, 500 milliliter, but it fits 750 milliliter if you really fill it up. It has a small thing here, so it's easy to hang it, putting out the water without dripping all around, and it has isolation around it so you can hold it, and it also isolates if you have hot water in it a little bit. And it comes with a kind of cover. Now we had to go back in time because you couldn't find this kind of stoves and cooking system back in old days. Primus Eta Solo, that was Primus' first cooking system like this. I have had this cooking system for 8 or 10 years. Maybe, I don't really know, but at least for a very long time. And I have used it a lot. This stove and cooking system, I use it for solo trips, and it's really good when you just need to heat up water. I also have carried this a lot in my backpack when I've been out with groups, because it's a super good backup stove if you are out with a group and you need to make hot water for the whole group. You had to do it in separate times, but you can easily give coffee to 5 to 10 person with this one. This stove was really good when it came out, but it had some bad constructions and weak points that I didn't like. For example, the burner, the construction of this is not really sturdy. It breaks down very quickly, and I have burned this and so on. It's also a problem with the connection here. And every time when you take it away, when this starts boiling, it's very easy to burn your fingers. So this stove really had some problem. You can still find some brands using this construction ideas, and that's usually cheaper copies that you find on Swish and so on. I will really give you a small warning, don't buy copies of this because of this construction is wrong. I haven't seen Jetboil, and they are probably much better than this. Primus Lite comes in two versions, Primus Lite and Primus Lite Plus. I choose Primus Lite because it was a little bit cheaper and it was a little bit lighter than Primus Plus. Primus Lite's weight 377 grams, but with small modification, I will show you soon, you come down to 365 grams. So this is how Primus Lite comes. A small cover, the burner, and a kind of towel. If you take away the towel, and instead of the towel you actually have a small bag where you can put the burner inside, then you get a lighter stove, and it's also much more practical. Primus Eta Solo come with something like this that you can actually hang the whole stove, you see? You can hang it in a tree or for climbers and so on. I have actually never ever used this one, so this is just, I don't know, nothing for me. Primus Solo, Eta Solo, the old one, also come with small legs like this that you attach. They are a little bit annoying, but somehow you attach them like this. You see, and then this one should come in under here. And before you flip it down, you must put the next leg here. And then you flip this in here. And then this one have already fallen out. This stove was a little bit better 10 years ago. You see, now it's like this. we can't really complain over this. It has been used a lot. Anyway, here you can put a pot on, a normal pot, a frying pan, a coffee pan, so you can use it as a normal pot. This is really good, especially if you use it for 2 person and more, because then you just need one pot for cooking dinner or frying pan, and then you use this one for heating up water for tea and soup and whatever. If we look at the new one, Primus Lite, this one have 3 holes here where you should add some screws. But serious Primus, why do you only include 3 small, simple, cheap screws in the Lite Plus version? They are not expensive, and you could just skip out the towel. We don't need the towel, but we need the screws. And we need the holder back here for the screws that Primus Lite Plus has. That should be included in Primus Lite. That's a really, really bad thing. Anyway, you put the screws here. 3 screws. These screws you get at any store that's selling screws and screwdrivers and all things like that. Here you can put a normal pot on top of this now, and it's quite stable actually. Start the gas and then you start the stove. When you want to start the stove, you have a very nice adjustment thing here, and then you have a very useless Piezo lightener here. It didn't work on this so well, as you see, and it's also quite crappy on this one. This one it breaks down directly. So Primus, I don't know why you add this Piezo lightener when it's not working, and it was not working on this one either. It worked a few weeks and then it was broken actually. This stove have a connection system, so you put it like this and turn it, and then you can hang it or put it however you want. This is really good, this kind of connection. So now we first start with what is good with Primus Lite, and then we continue with the things I don't like. The first thing I like with it is that it's a very compact small stove, and you just bring it and you have everything you need in the package. The second thing I like with it is that it's super easy to use. You just connect the stove like this, and it has an inbuilt wind protection down here, as you see. So it's very easy to use, and I like that very much. The third thing I like is that with this kind of heat exchange system in the bottom of the pot, you boil water quite fast. Now I don't remember if it's 2 minutes or 3 minutes or whatever, I have no idea. But it is fast. You just switch it on and then you have coffee. Thing number 4 is that with this fast thing, it's actually also a gas saver. It saves fuel, and you have to carry less fuel when you're out hiking when you use this kind of system. And I mentioned it before, number 5 is inbuilt wind shelter. So if you're out when it's quite windy, if you put it behind a backpack or a little bit wind shelter, you can use it in quite heavy wind. And number 6, this connection system. This is brilliant. This is really good. Easy, fast, you don't need to have your fingers down here. You hold the pot and it really good. I love that. And it seems like this will be very sturdy and difficult to break down, even for me actually. And now we come to the less good thing, or actually some things that I don't like at all. The first thing that's on the negative side on this stove is that this burner is very, very heavy if you compare to other burners. This is actually 146 gram, and a lot of this top mounted burner you can find is 25 to 80 gram, and then you have a really, really good burner. The second thing is that this burner is very bulky, very big volume when you want to pack it. Some of the top mounted lightweight burner, they are tiny, really, really tiny when you fold them. The third thing that's on the negative side of this stove is that this cooking system is more or less only for heating up water. The third thing that's on the negative side of this stove is that this is actually mostly for heating up hot water very fast. This is not a cooking system for you who want this kind of gourmet dinners out there in the forest. Then you should go for another stove probably. And then we come to the lid. The lid is different on Eta Lite, this one, and Eta Lite Plus. That lid you can also use as a mug. But I choose this because I want the lightest one, but I expect it to be a lid that was actually much better than this one. And if we look at the construction here, I have been sitting and looking at this lid hours. This is a kind of triangle here that is the same kind of triangle as here. But I don't understand, I don't get it. You have the same triangle down here, and I have tried here, and I don't get it. Why making this kind of profile here instead of making a lid that actually connect to the pot? On Primus Lite Plus you can unhook this and put it over and connect it on the other side. So Primus Lite Plus is probably the version that is a little bit better, but also heavier and more expensive. So if you don't want to do a stove, why don't only make Primus Plus? I don't get that. I get so upset, so I had to drink some coffee. Okay, number 5. Why, Primus, are you making such a kind of good stove that are made for putting screws in and not include the screws in the stove and not including the holder for the screws? I don't get that. Yeah, upset again. And then we have the towel. I don't really understand why add the towel and not screws, or not making the lid that actually work. I have other towels if I want to take a swim. Now we're talking about cooking. And then number 6, that's on the negative side of this cooking system. And that's the same with all of this kind of cooking system with this kind of pots. It's the same with Jetboil, same with this one and MSR and all these different stoves. This is not made for using on the campfire. And I use a lot of combination tools when I both are cooking on the stove and cooking on the fire for saving gas. And I miss this little bit with this actually. So, but I also understand that I save a lot of gas with this kind, so I just have to accept that probably. But I must say that's the negative side with this. And the negative side, number 7, is a piezo lightener. You have the sparkles. I don't know, the sparkles flip, I'm moving it from side to side. Wow! But you see, sometimes it works, sometimes it's not working. And with this Piezo lightener, I don't really know what's the problem with this. You see, you have to start it, click it until you start it. This should be 1 and then it should work. The last thing that I don't like with this stove is that now you see I have mounted a mini tube 100-gram gas canister on the gas stove from Primus, and then I expect it to fit in here. But as you see, then you can't close it. And okay, I have been sitting with this stove in the kitchen table several times and tried to figure out, okay, what's wrong? Is it I don't understand? Yeah. So then you had to put this down, upside down, and then you put the gas canister on the top, and then you can put the lid on. But the lid is still falling off, so it's not really good. But if any one of you know how this actually really should work, especially with the lid thing here, leave a comment, because I don't really get it. If I had bought Primus Lite Plus instead of this, I had get the better lid. I had get the 3 screws attached here. I had get a handle that I could take over and attach on the other side to keep the lid in place. If I had known all these things before I bought this stove, I still don't know if I was willing to pay the extra money to get that extra lid and get these 3 screws, because it's quite expensive. I actually believe that Primus should deliver a stove, Primus Lite, that actually didn't have this failure. What do you think? Do you have Primus Lite or Primus Lite Plus? Would you choose Primus Lite or Primus Lite Plus? I don't know for myself. Probably I should go for this anyway. We will continue using this stove, probably most on our solo trips. I'm very interested in testing a Jetboil actually, but what do you think? Is Jetboil better than Primus or not as good as Primus? I have never used Jetboil, I have no experience from Jetboil, but I'm quite curious about Jetboil. If you compare this cooking system to the top-mounted burners, you get more value per gram in your backpack if you choose a lightweight top-mounted burner instead of this one. And I also think the top-mounted burner are a little bit cheaper than this system. Anyway, I'm quite happy with this stove, even if I see a lot of negative things on this, and I can recommend it. But as you see, it's not perfect. I think this was all from me today. Please, if you like this video, give us a thumb up. That helps the algorithm in YouTube. If you want to get more content like this, subscribe. If you want to support the channel and you want to buy equipment, use the links down below, or go to Patreon and support the channel on Patreon. And now, one thing for you to do. Go out, do some awesome stuff, leave YouTube, go running, go camping, go cooking outdoors, and so on. But next week, come back to YouTube. Then we'll probably release the next video. See you. Ciao.